Good morning, second year literature students of Rajasthan University. Today I shall be discussing Virginia Woolf's How One Should Read a Book. So, students, as discussed earlier, it's a long essay of nearly 16 to 17 pages. So, I have already given you the introduction to the writer Virginia Woolf. Today I shall be discussing the main points. I have already given the topic, some critical points to be discussed from Virginia Woolf's How Should One Read a Book? This lecture will stand in continuation, followed by many other more lectures on the same topic. So I shall begin with a few points which I have found to be very remarkable. So she begins, to quote her lines, Virginia Woolf's line. In the first paragraph, Woolf says, "The only advice indeed that one person can give another about reading is to take no advice, to follow our own instincts, to use your own reason, to come to your own conclusions." So, see here the main point is that we don't have to be given advice by other people when we are reading a piece of literature. So, there are certain norms which are laid in literature that, in a certain way you must read a poetry, in a certain way you must read a novel of 32. It can be of any numbers of chapters. Suppose it is 32. So, how you must go on. So, we don't have to have any preconception about literary writing. This is what Virginia Woolf emphasizes. She says, in my childhood, I was, surrounded by books. So for me, it was very difficult, it's a personal experience. She says, even if you go to a library and you find a shelf of books, so at some place there are the books, there are autobiographies, there are biographies, there are different genres are there are book of essays, there is a book of poems, an anthology of poems, essays, it can be any drama, one act plays, it can be any novel. So she says, sometimes you get confused what to pick, from where to start. And there are books written in different languages, there are books written with different motives, there are books written by different writers. Okay, they can belong to different countries, they may have different tastes. So you, as a reader, you get confused that where will I start, from where I have to start, and how I have to begin, what I have to. So she says, you don't have to be backed by, you don't have to follow any preconception, you don't have to have any you don't have to follow the authorities, you don't have to be, you don't have to follow any rules regarding literature. So you as a reader must know the value of literature. Whether you are reading a book of history, you are reading a book of literature, you should know that what you have to extract from that piece of literature. So here one more thing she emphasizes. She says that to read a book you need to write also, you must know the value of writing. Because see, when a writer is writing a novel or he is writing a poem, so how difficult it is for a writer to present his emotions, some emotions, and a series of what you say incidents, and sometimes sometimes what he feels is that whatever he or she as a writer wants to communicate, whether it is coming into the words in the same way. So writing is a very it's a difficult process, and reading is also a difficult process. When you are reading a book, you must have the knowledge of writing. This is what excuse me, this is what she emphasizes. So she believes, if an then she also says that we can certainly not follow all the whims, all the ideas, all the feelings. We cannot go on with writer. sometimes we also have our own personal feelings. So it's not necessary that we have to sympathize with the writer. To some extent you have to follow, but then uh, the times in which the atmosphere in which you are living, it may be different. Your feelings may be affected by some incidents, some situations. So we cannot say that you have to follow the writer, but you can follow your own whims also. You can have your. So one more thing she emphasizes, that is a very remarkable point. She says that you don't have to completely follow, whether it's a piece of novel or it's a piece of any essay, any article. You don't have to follow the writer completely. Why? Because you may also have your own, feelings about that piece of literature. Okay, so you don't need to blindly follow that. And then one more thing which is very remarkable, she says that reading is also, you don't have to have any aim, that you have to any aim to be completely followed. I have made the point here is, she says that uh, to read a novel is an art. We must have a great perception and also the boldness of imagination. Now, see, this boldness of imagination, it not only relates to the poet or to the novelist, but it also relates to you. So certainly it also, it adds to your creativity also. So you are also being creative. So the points which I have underlined, the particular today on 25th August, I have given you the lecture and even the e-notes. So I have emphasized certain points which Virginia Woolf believes. I have given you the point of books in the library, so it's entirely your choice. Then suppose it's a novel of 32 chapters, so she says that to read a novel is an art. We must have a great perception and also the boldness of imagination. That point I have emphasized. Then thirdly, she says that I have found that she is more inclined towards poems, that is writing poetry and the novelist. And she says, suppose we are reading a biographies always, they are needed to satisfy our curiosity, how the day to day living is going on, what happens to people of different class. Then I have made it a point, I have written here, biographies and memoirs satisfy our curiosities about the lives of different people existing in a society. The servants gossiping, the gentleman dining, the girl dressing for a party, the old woman at the window with her knitting. Who are they? What are they? What are their names, their occupations, their thoughts and adventures? So such work show us people going about their daily affairs, toiling, failing, succeeding, eating, hating, loving until they die. But Woolf's inclination is more towards poetry. Dunwood took solace in writing away from day to day life activities. That means he was more of a metaphysical poet. So she has got taste for that. So she says, she emphasizes, reading is not for any aim to throw or any light on literature, but it can refresh our creative power. Now, students, now this creative power, see, the writers who have been great writers, they have read volumes and volumes. Okay, they were voracious readers. So reading and writing go simultaneously. Students, I shall continue this lecture further in different, I will may emphasize on different points. So this lecture will be continued. So these are the notes which I have given you for today. Kindly follow these notes. Thank you so much for today's lecture and your patience. Thank you once again.